Khanna ignited a political firestorm the moment he stepped to the microphone, and what he said next sent a shockwave through Congress. It wasn't cautious. It wasn't polite. It wasn't the usual quiet plea for oversight. It was a direct challenge to the most guarded secret in modern American politics, and the message behind it was unmistakable. The truth has been buried long enough. Without warning, Khanna demanded something Washington insiders hoped would never happen: the full, unredacted release of the Epstein files.
Tonight in the Rules Committee, Democrats offered a motion, several motions, to allow a vote on the floor to actually release the Epstein files. And Republicans on the committee just voted to block it, time and time again. The only reason it won't be considered on the floor immediately after this rule passes is because of 9 Republicans on the Rules Committee who voted no. Now, with the previous question, I will give the entire Republican conference another chance to vote to release the Epstein files. The only other chance to vote on it this week. And as I just said, the resolution Republicans just voted on in the Rules Committee is a glorified press release. It is non-binding. The Republicans are pretending to do something because they're feeling the heat at home. But it won't even come to the House floor this week, Mr. Speaker. We can't even get a commitment for when it's coming to the floor. The bipartisan bill we are offering, if we defeat the previous question, would actually release the files. It would have the power of law. It would not be a glorified press release. Ask yourself, Mr. Speaker, why would anybody want to stop this bill from getting a vote? What are Republicans so afraid of? Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of my amendment into the record, along with extraneous material immediately prior to the vote on the previous question. And to discuss that proposal, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from California, the sponsor of the bill, Mr. Khanna.
Without objection, the gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the American people, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, want the Epstein files released with the victim's identity protected. Now, most people don't understand how this town works, so I'm going to try to explain this really simply. Congressman Massey and I introduced a bipartisan bill to release all the Epstein files and to make sure victims were protected. There are 10 Republican co-sponsors of that bill, including MAGA stalwarts like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, including Lauren Boebert, including Tim Burchett. And we have the votes tonight to pass it. But what happened is, in the Rules Committee, they don't want to have this vote tonight because they know they're going to lose, because they know their own members want to vote for it. What's even sillier is they have this non-binding resolution. So I thought, surely we would vote on a non-binding resolution. They don't even want to vote on the non-binding resolution in case Donald Trump gets slightly offended. They don't even want the vote on the non-binding resolution tonight. Now, the president is paying attention, not just because his favorite Congressman Thomas Massey is involved. He's paying attention, and he said, okay, let's release. He directs the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, let's release and ask the courts to release the grand jury testimony. Here's the problem. The grand jury testimony is largely about Epstein and Maxwell, not about all the rich and powerful men who abused, assaulted, and abandoned young women. Those people are still being protected. And by the way, the courts usually don't release grand jury testimony. But you know what? The president is hearing the American people. And the president knows that if there's a vote tonight, this body overwhelmingly would vote for the release of the files.
30 seconds.
Additional 30 seconds.
I need 10 seconds. This question is, whose side are you on? Today, the Democrats are on the side of the people. The Democrats are on the side of the children. There are 10 Republicans who are on the side of the people and the children, but the entire Democratic Party is on that side, and the Republicans have chosen to protect the rich and powerful men who've abused our children. It's wrong, and that's the clear difference tonight.
And he insisted every member of Congress be forced to go on record, publicly, with no place to hide. In that instant, the room changed. Conversations stopped. Faces tightened. Because everyone knew this wasn't just another amendment. This was a political detonator placed right at the feet of some of the most powerful people in the country. Khanna framed the issue as a simple question with an explosive implication. Whose side are you on? Are you with the American people demanding answers? Or are you shielding the wealthy elites who've manipulated the system for decades? The way he delivered, it wasn't just confrontational. It was a direct line drawn in the sand. He talked about working-class Americans struggling while the rich and connected quietly bend the rules, exploit the system, and benefit from secrecy that never seems to break in the public's favor. And hovering at the center of this controversy was a file, one that, according to the Attorney General herself, was sitting right on her desk. A file containing the most closely guarded names linked to one of the darkest scandals in recent memory. Khanna didn't mince words. He said the refusal to release those documents wasn't just bureaucratic stalling. It was a question of trust. And the message behind that accusation was clear. The government can't claim to serve the people while hiding the truth from them. But what happened next took the situation from tense to explosive. After publicly acknowledging possession of the files, the Attorney General suddenly reversed course. The very documents she once referenced openly were now supposedly off-limits. Nothing to see, nothing to discuss, no release coming. And that whiplash turn, so quick, so contradictory, set off alarms across the political landscape. The timing didn't pass unnoticed. Khanna called it what many Americans already suspected, a blatant act of hiding information, a suspicious shift that raised more questions about who was being protected than anything else. Rumors swirled immediately. Reports suggested political pressure. Online chatter speculated about the identities inside those files. And every hour that passed with the files locked away only deepened the public's sense that something was deeply wrong. Khanna, sensing the momentum, pushed harder. He escalated the stakes by demanding not just a release, but a recorded floor vote, a public, unavoidable roll call exposing every representative's stance for the world to see. No slipping out, no quietly abstaining, no hiding behind committee walls. He wanted transparency not just in documents, but in accountability. And this is where Washington responded with its most revealing move yet. The House Rules Committee, controlled by the majority, blocked the vote. Not debated, not postponed, blocked, completely shut down before it could ever reach the floor. But the way it happened said more than the vote itself. Every Democrat supported Khanna's amendment. One Republican, Ralph Norman, crossed party lines, siding with the push for transparency. Chip Roy didn't even show up for the vote, a disappearance that immediately sparked speculation about internal divisions. And 7 other Republicans voted to stop the measure cold. The block wasn't just a procedural maneuver. Khanna made sure of that. He used it as evidence of a deeper sickness in the system, one that protects power instead of truth. In interviews immediately following the vote, Khanna didn't retreat. Instead, he doubled down. He argued that the refusal to even allow a public vote revealed a crisis far bigger than the Epstein scandal itself. He said it showed the lengths to which political elites will go to maintain control, shield the well-connected, and bury information that might challenge their authority. To him, this wasn't about one investigation or one file. This was about a government losing the trust of its people, a system that talks endlessly about accountability while hiding the most crucial evidence from the very citizens it claims to serve. And then, in a twist few saw coming, another high-profile figure added gasoline to the fire. Elon Musk weighed in publicly, responding to the sudden silence surrounding the case with a blunt, almost mocking tone. He pointed out the strange doublespeak, Epstein's name being mentioned repeatedly while also telling the public to stop talking about Epstein. Musk cut right through the political fog with a line that ricocheted across social media. Just release the files as promised. And that statement didn't just call out politicians. It highlighted the growing sentiment that the public is done with excuses, done with contradictions, and done with secrecy that benefits the elite at the expense of the truth. The moment Musk stepped in, the narrative shifted yet again. It was no longer one congressman pushing for transparency. It was a wider call from voices across the spectrum, left, right, independent, and everything in between, demanding the same thing. If these files don't incriminate innocent people, then why hide them? And if they do expose wrongdoing, why protect the guilty? Online discussions erupted. Viewers questioned the political implications, and whispers grew about whether there were names in those files that could destabilize alliances, reputations, or entire power structures. All speculation, but the kind that thrives when transparency is denied. When Khanna was pressed about whether releasing such files could create a dangerous precedent, he acknowledged the concern, but argued this case is unlike anything the country has ever dealt with. He pointed out that the Attorney General herself publicly stated she had the client list, that she promised transparency, and that the public has been misled repeatedly by leaders who insist they're fighting for justice while burying evidence that could prove otherwise. He said this isn't about bending rules. It's about fulfilling promises and acknowledging the exceptional nature of a case involving victims across borders, potential foreign government involvement, and a scandal that cuts into the highest levels of influence. Khanna emphasized that any release should protect victims. No details that expose their identities, no information that re-traumatizes them. But the names of those who allegedly participated, enabled, or benefited from Epstein's operations. Those, he argued, must be made public. Not someday, not eventually, now. Because every day that passes feeds suspicion, fuels conspiracy, and further erodes the already fragile trust between the government and the people. And according to him, only complete transparency can begin to repair that damage. Meanwhile, political tension continued to build behind the scenes. Multiple representatives began signaling support for future attempts to force a vote. Ralph Norman's break from party leadership hinted at deeper fractures within the majority. Chip Roy's absence became a talking point of its own, sparking questions about internal disagreements and strategic positioning. Khanna seized that moment, arguing that even members of the opposing party could see the damage caused by keeping the files hidden. He vowed that this blocked amendment was only round one. He promised to introduce similar measures week after week, month after month, until Congress is forced to confront the issue publicly. What's happening now is no longer just about a document. It's become a national reckoning, an emotional collision between citizens demanding answers and institutions unwilling to provide them. People feel betrayed. They feel deceived. They feel like the truth is always one step away, always hidden behind ongoing investigations or policy restrictions, or whatever new phrase politicians invent to dodge transparency. And this moment, sparked by Khanna's bold move, has brought those frustrations to the surface. The scandal isn't new. The outrage isn't new. But something about this moment feels different. The pressure is higher. The contradictions are more obvious. And the public is far more unified in one demand. Who was in those files? And why are we being kept from the truth? For many, this isn't just a political question, it's a moral one. A test of whether justice applies to everyone or only to those without power. Khanna's fight is reshaping the conversation around institutional accountability in a way the country hasn't seen in years. It's exposing fault lines inside Congress. It's highlighting broken promises. And it's forcing the nation to confront a much larger truth. When the government keeps secrets that directly impact public trust, it's not protecting the people, it's protecting itself. And that's where this story leaves us today. A system under pressure, leaders scrambling, citizens demanding answers, a file at the center of a controversy that refuses to fade, and a congressman promising that no matter how many times the vote is blocked, he will be back again and again until the truth is no longer hidden behind closed doors. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. There's more coming, and you won't want to miss what happens next.